Starting lineups brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. Lions from the 39. Antonio Warren. And he's across the 45 to about the 46. Stopped by Eric England.
Argonauts defense. One of the newcomers up there, the rookie, Jonathan Brown. May not have the stats as a possible nominee for Rookie of the Year. But you watch what Jonathan Brown does, and you will put him in that category. And when you're looking at the secondary, when you face the BC Lions, it's who has to cover G. Simon. That assignment to Kenny Wheaton tonight.
Warren has a gain of 7. This is 2nd and 3, and he'll get the first down across the 50-yard line. Warren was playing well when he went down with the injury, and he's happy to be back in the lineup.
He really
touchdowns.
Really was hitting his form in his last 2 games before he was hurt. One against the Montreal Alouettes. He was averaging 103 yards in those 2 games. So it was really the first time that the BC Lions had started to establish a running game. Then he went down with a calf injury and has missed a couple.
Here the Lions first down shy of center field. And they go to Warren again, back to back to back. He thought he might have been able to break it for a little more. He stopped at the 50, and we'll see where they spot it exactly.
With a calf injury, you always wonder about how he can accelerate and push off that leg, and it looks fine right now because Warren's acceleration is there.
Why is he so far ahead over here then? Shouldn't be about 6 feet ahead. He's about a yard.
It'll be 2nd down and 1 to go for the Lions as Warren picks up another 9. Tight end formation. Casey Printers goes to Warren, and we'll see where they spot the ball. The Argonauts are waiting. Michael O'Shea was right in the middle of things there. Noah Cantor as well.
Looked like Casey Printers audibled the direction of the play at the line of scrimmage, and then actually went right into the teeth of it. Good play by Michael O'Shea to step up and make a nice tackle and make this as close as it is. Story of the year for the BC Lions is right there. Number 1, Casey Printers, who faced really his first adversity last week in his 6th start versus the Calgary Stampeders. Boy, he was cruising along, and then the Stampeders played him tough.
Sacked him 5 times at McMahon Stadium and had the Lions on the ropes for a while, but BC bounced back to win that 5th game in a row.
But he just added to what has been a great story here in BC because he was knocked out of the game with a mild concussion and then got himself back in, fought through that, and ended up getting the win for the Lions.
This is 3rd and inches for BC, and Casey Printers himself. Penalty flags fly.
Which is almost always offside on defense. But I talked to Printers before this game about last week's game in Calgary. He said, yeah, I've been hit a bunch.
Offside, Toronto 92.
I've been hit a bunch, but I was knocked out of that game in Calgary for the 2nd time with a 2nd mild concussion. And Printers told me, he said, I took myself out because I was wobbly, I was dizzy and disoriented. Didn't think I gave my team a chance to win, so I took myself out. I mean, this guy just has all the right answers.
He is a quick study, no question about that. Here's the Lions first down from the shotgun. It's Printers with time to throw. Now the pocket evaporates and Printers sprints to his right, throwing on the run, and the target was Ryan Thelwell. He was out of bounds.
One thing the Calgary Stampeders did against Casey Printers, which I won't be surprised to see Toronto do some, is try and keep him in the pocket. Make him a pocket passer and see if he can complete 9-10 passes in a row from the pocket, not out in the run. Rich Stubler saw that film versus the Calgary Stampeders, and I know he's going to want to try and contain Casey Printers.
Printers looks at 2nd and 10. Just inside the Toronto 45. Steps up. Looking for Simon. He's gone. G. Simon one more time.
Boy, talk about great stories. G. Simon is on a record-breaking pace. catching the football. Watch Casey Printers in his comfort zone outside of the pocket. This is why the Stampeders wanted to hem him in, because once he gets outside of Jonathan Brown, now he's in his comfort zone. He loves throwing on the run. That's how he's had his success in 7 starts now in the CFL, and he finds his #1 target once more.
Just the 5th passing touchdown allowed by this Toronto Argonaut defense. So quickly, it's 7-0 for the BC Lions. G. Simon into the end zone again. That's his 14th touchdown. On first down, Printers has Claremont, and Claremont fights his way for a first down. He gets the 50-yard line. Kevin Ivan, Delta, British Columbia, made the tackle.
Because Printers, up until that game versus Calgary, was really cruising through the league. I mean, he had played Edmonton, Winnipeg, Montreal, Ottawa, Hamilton. And those were his starts prior to that Calgary game, and was really standing in that pocket, throwing strikes, putting up unbelievable numbers, and on pace for an outstanding player season. And then faced Calgary, and in regulation, the Lions put up 18 points, which is way below their season average.
Looking back to that Hamilton game when he was so spectacular and the player of the week for the 2nd time, 20 of 22 and 4 touchdown passes against the Tiger Cats. 90% completion average for Printers in that one. Here are the Lions with another first down. Nice play action fake. And Printers has Lyle Green squirting out of the backfield. He's across the 35.
This is Printers just checking down. He had a couple of open receivers, but he realized his time in the pocket was coming to an end. He had G. Simon on a layered pattern across the middle, but he didn't have time to set up for that one. The pocket started to collapse on him. Eric England was there, Bonner off the edge, so Lyle Green becomes the checkoff man to dump the football to.
And the little dump pass nets the Lions 15 yards in this first down at the Toronto 35. Pitch to the other side. Antonio Warren breaks a tackle, and it takes 2 Argos to drag him down inside the 25. Orlando Steinauer had to come up and help with the tackle.
John, I think when you talk Casey Printers, when he played in that first game of the year versus Hamilton, G. Simon became the #1 target. He threw for 190, and what Printers realized then is that he had a special player out there. I think that's when they started to establish their relationship, and why G. Simon is already over 1,000 yards at the midway point and on pace for a record-breaking season. And there's great balance in that core. You've got Jason Claremont coming out as a tight end.
Halfway to 1,000 for Claremont. Here's Printers buying a little extra time. The end zone toss. And no catch for Simon, who was in behind the cover but ran out of room in the Argonaut end zone.
Toronto Argonauts are awful tough when you get down in this end of the field. And even when you're facing G. Simon, what Mike Clemens wants this defense to do, he knows that Simon and Printers are going to hook up. They already have once tonight. He wants to bend and not break against them. They're pretty good in the red zone.
Lions look at 2nd and 10. Here comes the charge. Printers will toss. Touchdown. Frank Catolo got in behind the cover, and Casey Printers is wonky. A flag is down. The touchdown will stand, and they'll penalize the Argonauts after the fact. It's Jonathan Brown coming through. Catolo in the end zone for the touchdown, and Printers pays again.
Jonathan Brown is coming around on a stunt. And I asked the question early, can Printers be a pocket passer? Watch how Jonathan Brown will come around. Now Printers standing in that pocket, knows he's going to get hit. And look at this throw to Frank Catolo in the back of the end zone as he hits that stride right at that back line. That's what the flag was, but a great throw from the pocket for Casey Printers.
2 touchdown tosses for Casey Printers so far, and there's still half a quarter to go. Half of the opening quarter. Frank Catolo has his 7th touchdown reception of the season. Casey Printers has his 22nd touchdown throw. And the Lions have a 14-0 lead.
The more that Casey Printers runs around, the more that he sometimes, and I'll even go as far as to embarrass oncoming defensive linemen, the more he will take some of these late hits, as Jonathan Brown wants to, even though he knows he's a little late, wants to just let his presence be known. He just wants to say, hey, Casey, I'm here. He gets a penalty for it, but he's trying to make a statement. Pinner said, go ahead, you can be there all you want. I'm throwing a touchdown pass.
Let's see if the Argonauts can respond on special teams. Tony Miles across the 25 and short of the 30. Javier Glatz to make the tackle there. So the Lions have the 14-0 advantage. 4:14 to go in the opening quarter.
Here's a big difference between tonight and last week for Michael Bishop. Last week he was playing against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that have had their problems on offense, and he'd had time to work himself into that game. Tonight, now he's down by 14 in a heartbeat, has to battle back.
And he has to respond in a hurry. Bishop under heat, and he got it away short of the 40-yard line. It'll be enough for a first down.
Well, that's some kind of throw. I mean, it doesn't look like one of these spectacular touchdown passes to Frank Catolo. But watch how Michael Bishop is running away from pressure and kind of over his shoulder. For the quarterback, that kind of mechanics is awful tough unless you have a cannon like Michael Bishop.
Robert Baker ran a nice pattern there. He'll have the first down. From the Argo 39. Avery is wrapped up. Deshaun Austin was there and waiting for John Avery.
The reason that Barron Simpson, who you know is going to be locked in to John Avery as he goes in this direction, can take his time is because he knows Deshaun Austin is coming from the left of your screen and has containment. So now Barron Simpson just slides over. He waits. Deshaun Austin makes a play in the backfield before he can get there.
Loss of 5. So the Lions have forced the Argonauts into a 2nd and 15. Bishop has to put it up. Has time to look deep. Nothing open. He takes off, and he'll get the first down. Bishop out across the 50, and Austin was over to make the tackle there. It opened up.
See how Michael Bishop ran on that play. He looked an awful lot like another quarterback we've enjoyed watching this year on the other sideline, Casey Printers. And interestingly enough, Casey Printers, when he was a senior in high school, one of his idols was Michael Bishop when he was at Kansas State. Michael Bishop played against Baylor, and he watched that game, and Printers said, man, I love this guy.
On first down, Bishop has that one deflected.
And I asked Michael Bishop about it, and both quarterbacks, as a matter of fact, and he said, yeah, he said, I watched Casey Printers, I watched Bishop, and Bishop, he had this great athletic ability, could run, and I love the way he took control of the game and made a couple of blocks in the open field for running backs, and I kind of modeled my game after him. And now Printers putting on a show in the CFL, and Bishop's working his way into it.
And they're similar in stature as well. Soward made the catch, and it'll be a first down for the Argonauts at the 45 of the BC Lions. R.J. Soward.
See what Soward did there? He caught the ball with his hands. And that's the difference. That's sometimes you let the ball as a receiver get into your shoulder pad area. That's the problem. But watch how Soward, with confidence, stabs that pigskin. He sticks a fork in it, like my coach used to say. Stick a fork in that pigskin.
The gain is 11, and the Argonauts continue this drive. John Avery, halfway to a first down. He's near the 40 and stopped there. Avery picked up 92 yards last week. 14 carries for 73 and 3 receptions for 19. That was his game against the Blue Bombers.
Well, we seem like we say this week in and week out that his knee is getting better and improving every game. And sooner or later, John Avery is going to have that breakout game, that 150, 200-yard game.
They call it a gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Argonauts shotgun. Bishop. There's this out. Lots of coverage deep, and the Lions come up with the interception. Washington in the end zone. Mark Lester was the target.
This is just a timing problem for Michael Bishop, who's now thrown 6 interceptions and just 1 touchdown despite the big game. And the timing problem becomes this: when John Avery, who is the #1 target coming out of the backfield, is open now. But he waits, and then he throws, and that allows Mark Washington to come from the backside and get involved. If he lets that ball go right away on time, John Avery has a chance.
3 Lions in the vicinity. Mark Washington has the pick. So time ticks down on the opening quarter. Just 12 seconds to go as the Lions look at first down here. Antonio Warren lost the handle for a split second, got it back.
Second down, you got 1 play.
And 1 second unofficially on the stadium clock here at BC Place. Ryan Thelwell, one of 3 receivers to the near side. On 2nd and long, Printers escapes. He won't get away from all of the Argonauts charging there. Antonius Bonner coming through.
Holding, 68, BC, penalty is declined.
Because the Argos declined the penalty, that's the end of the quarter.
And the sack will stand, so the Argonauts have a couple of sacks. The Lions have a couple of touchdowns. Here are the stats at the quarter for Smirnoff Ice. Who knows where it'll go?
There's one time that the stats do indicate which team is up in the scoreboard. The BC Lions 14 points and 8 first downs. The Argos 0 points, 3 first downs, and controlled the football, the BC Lions, in the first quarter.
O'Mani got a charge, got it away. Tony Miles for the Argonauts. Instant field position. He's almost to midfield at the 55 and run out by Derek Lewis. 50-yard punt, 9 on the return. Bishop in trouble. Ball is loose. Lions have it, or do they? Simpson had it momentarily, and the Lions say they retain possession after Simpson had his mitts on it. But maybe not. The Argos got it back. Simpson had his hands on the ball. He was on top of it, and then it squirted free, and St. John ends up with it for the Argos.
Brent Johnson on the top keeps working from the backside, and it's Brent Johnson that, with that hard work as he comes off the edge, keeps fighting, gets pushed long and wide, but then he keeps coming back, and there's the hit that jars the ball loose. Simpson had a crack at it and missed it.
So the Argos look at 2nd and a bunch. Bishop steps up, has Avery, and they get about 10 yards back, but it'll be a 3rd down kicking situation for Toronto. Otis Floyd was over to make the tackle, or at least force Avery out of bounds.
So far, Michael Bishop has been on the dead run. He's already got the skid mark on his helmet. He's been hit a couple of times. He's been hitting the blind side from the backside. That's the worst for a right-handed quarterback. Coming off that backside edge is the toughest because you can't see it coming. He's 3 of 8, but he has just been on the dead fly all game long so far. Credit to that defensive front 4 of the BC Lions. They're winning that battle right now.
He hasn't been sacked yet, while the Argonauts have 2 sacks to their credit. And there'll be no return for Aaron Lockett as the Lions start back near their 10. The Grey Cup logo for 2005 unveiled here at BC Place. Tonight, the 93rd Grey Cup game will be played here on November 27th, 2005. And already organizers are excited about the prospect of the Grey Cup coming back to Vancouver.
A different feeling for football in this province, in this city now, as opposed to the last time the Grey Cup was here. And that baby's going to be a sellout in 2005. They've got upwards of 30,000 in here tonight. They're building. Their average is well over 25 this year. Back end of this season is going to see bigger, better crowds for the BC Lions leading into a Grey Cup year. And I would say that baby's almost a certain sellout.
The last time the Grey Cup was here was 1999. Antonio Warren picked up 7. This is 2nd and 3 for the Lions. Warren again. The ball is loose. The Argonauts should have it this time. Or the Lions scrapped to get it back. I think maybe it went back to the Lions. The Argonauts had the loose ball surrounded.
Well, they had about 4 or 5 cracks at it. Antonio Warren, that baby pops out right at the line of scrimmage. Warren's in the backfield here. He takes a jab step, hits up in there, and right there it comes out on the hit from Jonathan Brown. Now it's Kevin Iben, Michael Fletcher, they all have a chance at him. Londo Steinauer's in there, and somehow the one BC Lion in that sea of white comes up with it. Antonio Warren goes to check the gloves in the hands, and the
net result, an 11-yard gain for the Lions. Casey Printers stands in. Simon went up and took a big hit on the sideline.
Well, the other thing that's got this city excited about is the play of the BC Lions, how excited they are this season. And in fact, they're looking at tying a Lions record if they can win their 6th in a row tonight. Vic Rapids 77. That year, Jerry Taggy was the quarterback. Don Matthews had Roy DeWalt for a couple of years, 83 and 86, both those years. Greg Mons was Damon Allen. And Wally Buono has Casey Printers and, oh yeah, the other guy, Dave Dickinson, who's coming back soon.
Yes, and he'll be back within a matter of 1, maybe 2 weeks. Here's Printers standing in. Caught from behind. Lost his footing. Found it again. And he's wrapped up and sacked for the 3rd time tonight. 3rd sack for this relentless Argonaut defense on Casey Printers. However, they haven't been able to keep him off the scoreboard.
Well, he's going to make his plays, but you got to keep containing him, and that's the key. This time it's just good hard work from Noah Cantor in the middle, Eric England on the outside on the right, and Jonathan Brown on the inside. 3-man rush. There's a chance for Jonathan Brown. Now Printers keeps his balance. Cantor keeps working to flush him back the other way, and then he and England land on him. 3-man rush that through just 2nd and 3rd effort, they get it done, and Noah Cantor just adds to his sack totals.
He has 8 on the season. High snap. And not much for O'Mahony to do here. Oh, he lost the ball. The Argonauts have a chance. And this time the Argonauts will recover, although they would have ended up with the football anyway on 3rd down.
I think that draws a meeting with Wally Buono.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. He could have given up 2 rather easily. Ooh. Here's the Argos with the best opportunity for Toronto in this one. 3 cracks at it from the 3-yard line after the turnover. Avery bobbles it. Bishop picks it up and lost another 3 yards.
Well, nothing is guaranteed with the way this game is going. A couple of fumbles by the Lions. They finally lose one. Bit of a brain burp from Duncan O'Mahony.
That's putting it politely.
And now Bishop with a chance. He gets all messed up at the handoff with John Avery and puts himself in a hole and now has to throw the football on 2nd down.
Argonauts were set up 1st and goal at the 3. Now they look at 2nd and goal from the Lions 7. And it won't be easy getting to the end zone from here. The charge is on. Bishop lets fly. Miles look for it. Great coverage is Sean Austin. Just great coverage by the BC Lions secondary.
Always works in combination. The pass rush along with coverage. Muktabeno is the guy involved in the pass rush, and he's the sack leader for the BC Lions. And there's the rush that causes Bishop to go deep and not get a lot on it. And even if he could have, look at the position that Deshaun Austin is in. Deshaun Austin has elevated his game in a big way. Here comes that pressure from Tabenya.
And the field goal is good by Noel Prefontaine, a short little chip shot from 15 yards. And what looked like an easy 7 ends up a 3-yard pickup for the Argonauts on the 15-yard field goal.
Well, when you're good football teams, it's never a guarantee, although when you saw the brain burp from Duncan O'Mahony, who all he had to do was really give up the safety when he had problems with the snap.
Kick it through the end zone.
Or kick it through the back of the end zone, absolutely. Here's that play. This is what sets up the Argonaut chance. High snap, now he's in trouble. Go ahead and give up a safety. It's over. And never try to pitch it, or maybe he just didn't want it.
I don't think he was trying to pitch it to anyone.
Maybe Duncan O'Mahony just didn't want it. Anyways, that set up the chance, and his defense, Duncan O'Mahony's defense, bails him out, because that is a win for the BC Lions when you're talking about momentum, to be down in your own end like that and hold them to just 3.
To cough it up on the 3-yard line, an absolute victory for the Lions there. So O'Mahony, who's on a nice little run kicking field goals, will have a few embarrassing moments in the tape session tomorrow, but it may not be quite as bad as it might have been.
Well, and it won't mess with his psyche, knowing his personality. And he has been on a roll, no question.
Aaron Lockett. The Lions have been looking for a return game, and Lockett gets another crack at being the man. Ray Mariu's making the tackle after a 19-yard return. And so Casey Printers heads out again. 5 of 8, 110 yards, and the 2 touchdowns. The touchdowns have looked easy. Other parts of the BC Lion offense have not looked quite so easy, as he has been sacked 3 times.
Well, both defensive lines playing quite well, and they knew the challenges that they faced. Both defensive lines facing athletic quarterbacks that can run. Makes for a long day.
On first down, huge hole opens up. Antonio Warren is definitely in form. Kenny Wheaton made the tackle.
Not surprising that the Lions want to try and attack Toronto's defense along the ground with Antonio Warren. It's a defense in Toronto that ranks 8th versus the run, giving up 112 yards per game, which is basically on the bottom of the league. And they've been great against the pass, and they haven't given up many touchdowns. They've been susceptible to the run.
Warren 11 carries for 68 yards so far. Printers has Warren sliding out of the backfield, and he'll get 5, maybe 6 yards on the reception. Clifford Ivory made the stop.
A lot of talk about KC Printers. If you were to pick the outstanding player right now, if the votes were going to happen right now, who are you taking?
Well, no question, Casey Printers has had a most valuable player season. He would likely get a lot of votes for most outstanding player in the CFL to this point. 2nd and 4, and running this time for Warren is not as easy. He only picks up 1 yard there, so the Lions are into a kicking situation. When you look at the number of touchdown tosses for Casey Printers, 22, including the 2 tonight.
And coming into this week, he also led in rushing touchdowns, and it's an impressive group of running quarterbacks when you look at Damon Allen and Kerry Joseph, Henry Burris in Saskatchewan, and there's Printers with his 6 touchdowns and 6-yard average. Now, a lot of that was happening too before his foot was injured.
Absolutely everything is impressive about this young man. Tony Miles deep for the Argonauts. Toronto trailing 14-3. And this kick is not deep from O'Mahony. 2 hops. And Miles is surrounded, dropped in his tracks at the 15. Leading the way, Otis Floyd. Number 82, Jason Claremont, took it 29 tough yards to set up a 5-yard touchdown toss from Printers to Frank Cutola, his second score of the night.
Yeah, Jason Claremont rolls up his sleeves and does the hard labor here. And does this remind you a little of a Saskatchewan receiver back in the old days, of Mr. Ray Elgard? And that right there reminds me of Ray, where he just, and that was the roll up the sleeves, do the hard digging. And then Cutola got the glory with a nice little touchdown toss in the back of the end zone.
Maybe a little Bo Richter in there, too.
Yeah. Well, you know, early in this, when he was a rookie, he was compared to Elgard a bunch, and hasn't been said this year. He looked like him there.
Tony Miles tries to get the Argonauts back in scoring position, pays the price at the 40. Otis Floyd has made several key special teams tackles for the Lions. So 2:09 to go till halftime. And the Argonauts would desperately like to get to the end zone at least once before the half. There's time for Michael Bishop, but he struggled a little bit against this BC defense. 4 of 11 and just 40 yards.
Well, they got to give him some time. They've got to give him some time to throw.
Argonauts begin just inside the 40. 3 receivers near side. Bishop looks to the far side. He's got a target over there. And he'll get a connection with Tony Miles. First catch for Miles.
KC Printers, you see that completion percentage right back up there at 75, 162 yards. And already 3 more touchdowns to the total.
What's amazing is KC Printers is at 66% coming into this game. Bishop dancing around.
Oh my.
They call it a catch, and that was a brilliant play by Bishop to get to the near sideline. He's almost got a first down. He's about a yard shy on the connection. Michael Bishop here.
There is not many people in football that can do this. It doesn't happen. Guy makes 3 people miss, and from his knees going down, throws it 25 yards to the sideline of John Avery.
And John Avery digs it out of the dirt for a 9-yard gain. It's 2nd and 1. And Bishop himself should have the necessary inches to continue this drive for the Argonauts with 1:51 to go till halftime.
Athletically, you can't do it. It's just, you can name any great quarterback you want, this league or any other league, and there's not many alive that can do what Michael Bishop just did.
Bishop still in a learning process, no question about that, as far as being a starter in the Canadian Football League, but there's no question that he has the strongest arm in the league. And that is from Kent Austin, his offensive coordinator, saying that no one comes close to the air that this guy can put on a football and how far he can throw it. You saw there with Bishop throwing from his knees.
Ken Austin loves his potential. Thinks his upside is through the roof.
1st and 10 Argos. Lions charges on, and he's wrapped up and down. Carl Kidd. He makes a huge difference to this BC defense.
And he gets so much mileage out of his big plays, doesn't he? He makes enough of them. He makes a ton of them, as a matter of fact. But when he makes one, it's a lot of fun. I mean, he's way over here, tracks down Bishop from behind. Great speed off the edge. He's not blocked. Luke Tabeno takes the blocks, and then watch the fun afterwards. Oh, yeah, this is the swim move and the, I don't know.
First sack for the Lions on Bishop. This could be number 2. He got it away. Bishop was surrounded, and he's a little bit frustrated, as you see. Might have taken a little more than a nudge after he'd gotten rid of the ball there.
Frustrated because it's been target practice, and when Ken Austin goes in at halftime here for the Argos, it will likely be protections up front that he discusses more than talking to Bishop about how he may change things. Look at that. That's not even 1.5 seconds to throw the football. And then little push there to Carl Kidd.
Tyrone Williams tried to slow down and actually put his hands up to surrender, sort of, but he did make contact with the Argonaut quarterback. Washington laid out, couldn't get the block. Here's Lockett. Aaron Lockett steps out at the 20, and the Lions have 101 to head downfield toward the Toronto end zone again. Casey Printers has engineered 3 touchdowns so far this evening.
Look at the list that he is trying to add his name to. Casey Printers this season 66.5%. He's at 75% so far tonight. So that'll bump up. There's the all-time in one season, the best ever, Tom Clements in 86, 67.58. Printers can get him this year if he stays on the field.
Well, and Dave Dickinson wants to be back inside of a month. Printers for Claremont again, and Antonius Bonner was over to force him out.
How about an absolute great problem to have if you're a head coach of a professional football team? You have Dave Dickinson, former outstanding player, who's about 2 weeks from returning to the lineup.
I said a month, and really, it could be that long, but he's hoping it's going to be less than that, even 10 days or so.
Well, John, they can be more patient with him because of the guy they got behind the center right now.
Cotillo with a couple of touchdowns, makes another catch. He's short of the first down. Kevin Iben made the tackle, and 47 seconds remain till halftime.
You know, and what's interesting about what I love about Printers' performance tonight is that he took some hits early in the game, and he could have had the quick flashback to the Calgary experience where he was pounded pretty hard. Took a couple of hits early, and now he's back in that stride and back in that rhythm. So now we add another chapter because he can fight through adversity and he can fight through the physical aspect of the game.
Really no downside to Casey Printers, a 23-year-old quarterback who's been able to get the job done, stepping in behind Dave Dickinson and leading the Lions to a record of 6 wins and 3 losses. Antonio Warren in the run game has worked very effectively for the Lions tonight. Michael Fletcher making the tackle there. And Antonio Warren obviously very happy to be back in the lineup and getting his hands on the football.
Well, yeah, and he's already almost at 100 yards. 90 yards, and then the 100-yard mark, that's the magic 100-yard mark. Steve Brattle, the offensive coordinator. Balance is what's important to help a young quarterback.
Flag is down. Cotillo makes the catch and turns it into a first down, stepping out at the 50. Adrian Smith forced him out there. Barato said to me before the game that they really wanted to run the football more effectively, and obviously a lot of teams have that in the plan but don't get the job done. But the Lions have done it so far in the first half.
Yeah, but what he has to do now, see, he's making notes now. See, and the reason he's making notes is because he's noted number 69, Freddie Moore, with the holding, putting his team now in a first and a whole bunch. And they had a chance before halftime for more points, and now this puts them in a bit of a hole.
Well, a bit of a hole, but it's technically the first adversity the BC Lion offense has faced so far this evening. Looking at 1st and 20. And Antonio Warren was the target. Now 20 seconds remain.
Yeah, and now it changes Wally Guano's thought process, because he's looking at basically just his side of center field, and Steve Barato is thinking aggressive offense. They discussed this. Now maybe we just kind of get out of Dodge with a 21-3 lead in our home park.
Very satisfying first half for the Lions, and by everyone's admission, the performance of BC against Calgary last week offensively was a little spotty, in spite of the fact that the Lions won the game.
Now Mike Clemens. Duncan O'Mahony, who's already had 1 snap go high and had some problems. Here's his choices now with 13 seconds left. Do you load him up, put 11 on the line of scrimmage with 1 returner, or do you put 2 returners back, try and set up a return and get the yardage that way? Maybe you have a chance for 1 play and a field goal chance depending on the return. And right now he's going to load him up.
Yeah, I think the block is likely the best opportunity here. Or put the heat on the punter at least. Go for the block.
They are. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, Manny sails this down to the 22. Tony Miles will run out of time. Almost 3 seconds to go as Derek Lewis leads the Lion tacklers this time.
Well, one of the best, if not the best, special teams player in the CFL this year. Ray Mariusz is the guy who's going to get pressure on Duncan O'Mahony. He's going to come with Michael Fletcher down the middle. Jordan Younger from the outside. There's Mariusz working real hard. Leads the Canadian Football League in special teams tackles, and that's exactly what Mike Clemens decides to do. Load it up. Maybe we get a block. Get a chance for some points. Look at Ray Mariusz flying around.
They'll have O'Mahony thinking about it at least going into the second half here tonight. 2 seconds on the clock.
Hey, Kevin Ivan earned a starting job from special teams work, and that's exactly what Ray Mariusz is doing now.
Couple of great young Canadians spotted and signed by Nick Volpe for the Toronto Argonauts. There's the halftime gun, and Wally Buono is in control of a 21-3 lead. Lions have the lead. It's 21-3 for Wally Buono's gang. Here's Perry Solkowski on the sidelines.
Thanks, John. Coaches are pretty simple. Your QB needs some time.
Well, I think we just need to get the combination of things there. Certainly he needs some time, but I think we can give him enough time. We just got to be patient and run the offense. Have to maybe run the ball a little bit more and also move the protections around a little bit.
Yeah, had almost 100 yards on you running it. That's something you're concerned about.
Well, what we don't want to do is give up the touchdowns. We had a couple of times where we busted coverage, and that's what we don't want to do. If we keep them to field goals rather than touchdown, we're in pretty good shape.
Mike, thanks. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Guys, back to you.
Just 7 touchdowns allowed by this Argonaut defense coming into this game through 9. And the Lions pick up 3 in the first half.
Great completion percentage for KC Printers, 185. And there's the 3 touchdowns you talked about, John, against a defense that's been very stingy all year. On the other hand, Michael Bishop, the 1 bad throw for an interception to Mark Washington, and hasn't had a whole lot of time. But you heard Mike Clemens say there that they want to move the protections around and get back to the run game a little bit, just like Jock Kleiman mentioned. Get John Avery involved so that play action down the road now becomes something that the defense may bite on.
Well, it really is time for John Avery to shine, to step forward. They say he's at about 90% effectiveness right now, but in the first half, just 2 carries for 7 yards. So the Argonauts, to try and get the run game going, will have to get to Avery a little more frequently and maybe use a little of Michael Bishop to run the ball as well. BC Lions engineering 3 touchdowns. A couple of spectacular plays by KC Printers. Connecting with G. Roy Simon for a 43-yarder, and then back-to-back Frank Cottolo for 23 yards. And Claremont setting it up for another touchdown. 23 touchdown passes for KC Printers so far this season. Second half underway. Tony Miles across the 20. Cuts it up. And Miles slowed at the 35 and dropped at the 38. Javier Glatz leading the tacklers there for the Lions. So it'll be first down for the Argonauts and Michael Bishop.
Well, you didn't see any touchdowns from that Argonaut offense in the first half. You got the 5 punts, and that field goal was actually a loss of momentum because Ken Austin's squad took the ball on the Lions' 3-yard line after a botched snap from Duncan O'Mahony and only came away with 3.
Robert Baker flanks to the near side.
Let's go, Shake.
It's Baker. The catch, the first down for the Argonauts. So a positive start for Toronto as Crum ran Baker out of bounds.
And then that's just the quick passing game is basically just a glorified running play when you can do this. Just one step, look back, quick throw, and then you could hear the entire sideline for the Argonauts right there going, come on, shake, come on, shake. Baker, shaker.
Shake and bake.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
First down, Toronto. And here's John Avery. Tough running for a couple of yards there, met by Brent Johnson.
Well, now some people throw their hands up right now and say, well, see, it's not working, and that's why you just forget about it. But you don't. Even though that was only a 2-yard gain from John Avery, if you keep getting that 2 or 3 yards, it still helps, because now the linebackers have to go to him. And then if you want to go to play action, you can fake it and pull it out.
Avery, 92 all-purpose yards last week against Winnipeg. 2nd and 8, Bishop throwing on the run. Nice toss, and Talbot couldn't squeeze it. Andre Talbot was the target out there.
Sam Young wasn't very far away.
He closed in a hurry.
Started his career last year in Calgary, and he was there in a hurry to break on Andre Talbot. And this is the protection changes that Mike Clemens talked about. Full roll, offensive lineman sliding with Michael Bishop. Now they just have to get the receivers to beat the DBs for the BC Lions.
Aaron Lockett deep for the Lions. Noel Prefontaine standing just inside his 40. Low snap. Prefontaine digs it out and lays it down at the 6. Aaron Lockett, but a penalty flag is down as Prefontaine tried to make the tackle. Lockett has an escort. He'll take it all the way. 103 yards. But the penalty flag is down near the 15.
And you can tell by the reaction of the head coach that it just may be coming back.
Well, in the area of the field where the flag ended up, the indication usually means an illegal block, and everyone is walking back to that spot now.
Well, Ray Marius is always the first guy down for the Toronto Argonauts, and if he's not involved in a tackle somehow, then probably something happened to him. There he is right here, and let's watch Kelly Lockbaum for the BC Lions as he goes down. Now, does he hit him in the back and push him past?
That's the call, so Lockett's 103-yard run goes for naught. Argonauts in good shape here. Nice play action fake by Bishop. Look at the air on this. Soward in the end zone. He's got it. Caught it 3 times, but R.J. Soward has the Argonauts' first touchdown.
No
He bobbled that, didn't he?
question what the call was, John. He was going deep from the get-go. Bishop dropped back. He didn't read a thing. All he said to Soward in the huddle was, hey, you run as fast as you can. I'm going to throw it, well, about half as far as I can, which is about 60 yards. I think the guy could throw it the length of the field if he wanted to. Puts tons of air on this football, and he just lets the athlete go run underneath it. And Soward, he was... Carl Kidd was right there. He kind of distracted him, and he had to juggle it a couple of times.
3rd touchdown of the season for R.J. Soward, and the Argonauts have a little life all of a sudden. It's 21-9 at BC play. Bishop and the Argos on first down, and it's Talbot with the reception, and it looks like Talbot will have the first down. Necessary yardage accumulated on the far side, and there's the indication.
So the biggest difference offensively in the adjustment from Ken Austin at halftime is rollout. Rollout from Michael Bishop. Get him moving out of the pocket, get him to the outside, and throwing on the run.
Six wins this year. The Argonauts have relied heavily on the defense to get the ball back for the offense. That hasn't happened so far tonight. So the Argos fell behind by a couple of touchdowns. John Avery stopped again.
There's the old rivals, the old college rivals. Barron Simpson, John Avery. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. And that time Mississippi State got the best of Ole Miss.
It's a loss of about a half a yard.
Bulldog got the rebel that time.
Andre Talbot flanks to the far side. It's second down. Bishop stands in. He's got Talbot. Flags fly as Talbot goes up and brings it down to Sean Austin, who's had a great game for the Argonauts, making the tackle, or for the Lions making the tackle there on the Argonaut receiver.
You know, Bishop has struggled tonight, but he's done some things athletically that just, you know, it has to have you shaking your head.
Offensive pass interference. Toronto number 4. Second down repeated.
Well, Talbot's going to get called on a push-off here, but Bishop gets flushed again, and he doesn't even, you know how you say he's throwing off his back foot? He wasn't throwing off any feet because he jumped in the air, fading away and through that, and at the other end, Talbot had got the foul with the push-off. But he's done some things athletically that just make you go, wow. I mean, they just, when he throws from his knees, he throws from the air, and the zip on the ball is still there.
Penalty against the Argonauts means it's 2nd and 20. So here's Bishop releasing in a hurry. He's got Baker, and Baker surrounded by BC Lions. There are 4 of them there. The ball came loose, but the whistle had blown. Sam Young ended up with the football.
Well, it's asking a lot, and you see the tempers flare now because Robert Baker was all twisted around at the end of the tackle. No, it's asking a lot of Robert Baker to, on 2nd and that much, catch about a 7-8 yard pass and then turn it into a first down. But sometimes you have to take what the defense gives you, punt the football, and then put your defense back on the field.
Well, they get 10 yards back from that. So Noel Prefontaine will be punting from his 30 instead of from back a little closer to the 20-yard line. Lockett is inside the BC 25.
He's had one called back now.
Lockett took it 103 yards, but an illegal block overruled the touchdown. Special teams, very special sometimes. Michael Fletcher leading the way there. Lions leading. Tony Miles lost it, has it back. Great job to escape. He gets to the 35. Tony Miles, a couple of nice moves, but not much to show for it.
There's a late flag on the play.
Toronto 37. First down.
Michael Bishop was in there trying to get the call to find out exactly what field position he was dealing with.
Perry Salkowski on the sideline. Come on in.
Dave Dickinson, it's always good to see you, but when are you going to show up to this address and football equipment?
I think soon. I had a good day yesterday, and I'm happy with the progress. And you know, I was just talking with Damon earlier yesterday. I'm going to try to be careful, but it'd be nice to get out there.
What are you still not doing in practice?
Well, I should probably be able to get out there and start taking some team drills next week. You know, we're just being a little bit careful with it.
Dave, do you think there's going to be more pressure on you just because of the past couple of months of Casey to get into a groove right away when you get back?
Well, you know what? I need to be in that groove. I mean, this team needs to keep winning, and you know, I'm just going to do what I can do and kind of let the chips fall where they may.
Hey, what's it like to be in the sidelines with this place finally full?
Oh, it's a great crowd, and they're nice and noisy today, making it tough on the Argos. And you know, the Lions football right now, we're starting to be big time in this city, and we're happy about it.
Thanks, Dave.
2nd and 10 Argos, and they'll come up short of the first down as Bishop does connect.
Ball here, please.
Boy, they had a nice play set up, the Argos did, and missed it.
First catch for Mark Lester, sorry.
To Robert Baker, and that's the scenario that Wally Buono on the other sideline is facing, and that's Dave Dickinson's return. And then what do you do at the quarterback spot.
Well, it's a very pleasant problem, is it not?
It is the best problem you can have as a head coach, to have two great quarterbacks.
Well, two all-star quarterbacks. I mean, you have to believe that Casey Printers will get votes as an all-star quarterback in this league this season, and Dave Dickinson has been there several times in his career. Flags are down as Noel Prefontaine sails this one down to the BC 30. Lockett. Aaron Lockett needs a block here. Prefontaine over to slow him down. He hopes. He does. Caught from behind by Antonius Bonner after Noel Prefontaine ran a little interference. Flags all over the field as we look at it now. It's a 62-yard return if it stands.
Offside. BC 95. First down, Toronto.
Two huge returns by Lockett nullified.
Yeah, but this one, an offside from Cameron Legault, that's a heartbreaker for Aaron Lockett, because the first one is hit in the back,
and there was no doubt
everyone's
about
flying around, and Kelly Lockbaum made an error in judgment on the fly. That's one thing, but to be offside before the play even starts, well, those ones you just, as a coach, they drive you nuts.
And the Argos get a first down as a result, and they'll come close to another first down here as Tony Miles makes the catch at the 40. Well, it will be second down Toronto without question, but they're more than halfway to a first.
But then when you get the offside call, takes back the return, but not only that, you were inside of 5 yards.
Flag down on this play as well.
BC 31. First down.
Tony Miles limps to the bench, and that's basically your number one receiver. He doesn't come in number one in yards in this game, but Tony Miles is your veteran number one receiver.
Over 1,000 last year, halfway to 1,000 this year. Bishop looks at 1st and 10. And Otis Floyd has John Avery all wrapped up. Avery still unable to escape. Not many rushing yards for Avery in this one either.
You go back to Tony Miles on the bench there, and Adam Rita this week, along with Greg Bonds, has brought in former Pro Bowler Andre Rison. And of course, everyone across the league talking about the addition of Andre Rison, what that might do with the Argos. And boy, Adam Rita and Mike Clements had nothing but good things to say about what he's done in just a week in practice.
Loss of a couple. Bishop stands in and fired behind Robert Baker.
And you see Tony Miles limp off, and that just makes Andre Rison's arrival that much more important. And what has happened, and what I understand, is that the question was, does Andre Rison come in and, the former Pro Bowler kind of think, well, this is just going to be a party and we're going to relax and have some fun, and is he going to really put the work ethic in? Well, in a week he has. He's impressed Rita, and most importantly, I think he's impressed Mike Clements. And right out of the gate, he took the entire receiving corps out for dinner, bought them all dinner, introduced himself, and said, hey, let's go to work. So he's providing some leadership already, which is what they were looking for from Andre Rison. We may see him in the lineup soon.
Well, Prefontaine sails this one down inside the 30. Aaron Lockett on the return, and not much running room there. Printers will get a chance now. Lions will be forced to start back a little deeper in their zone as a result of the penalty from the 18. BC first down. Casey Printers moved the ball very effectively in the first half, unable to have that kind of success in the second half. That's Gerald Harris who draws into the lineup.
Yeah, he comes in for Chris Brazel, and Brazel was hurt versus Calgary. And so Gerald Harris has been around a couple of years and is one of those guys in practice makes the DBs better. I mean, he's just a hard worker in practice, turns guys around, and that's why but it's a hard lineup to crack when you look at the receiving corps.
Absolutely. Claremont, Simon, Cutolo, Thelwell. Printers on 2nd and 7. Kept running, and he'll get a first down. G-Roy Simon found a way to get open.
He did, but there's a flag. And Antonius Bonner was trying to get outside and cut Printers off as he tried to escape. And he was blocked initially from Antonio Warren.
Simon will get a 15-yard gain if this stands.
Illegal contact on receiver. Toronto 13. Penalty is declined.
It will.
Major foul. Roughing the passer. Toronto 95. First down.
And all of that, they didn't see the holding on Antonius Bonner. Here it comes to the outside. Eric England goes up high. And so he gets the double call there when he goes up high to the face. And the face mask call on Casey Printers.
So a 15-yard gain for Simon. It'll turn into a 30-yard net for the Lions, who are now out at the 50. 2:20 to go, third quarter. Antonio Warren has had a great night running the ball. He's outside. And that'll be another BC Lion first down. Orlando Steinauer got over to make the tackle. And Antonio Warren very excited to be back in this BC lineup.
Yeah, he is. And he gets some help up front from Freddie Moore, who just gets enough of the linebackers coming out to try and cut off Antonio Warren. Moore's in here. He's going to pull out to this side and watch him pick up the block. Number 69 right there on Adrian Smith. Just enough.
And on the following play, Warren gets 3 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7.
And Durazio, the offensive line coach, was telling me this offensive line is really starting to gel. They're starting to come together.
Printers has Harris. Gerald Harris has the 15-yard line. Another guy anxious to play a little football, drawing into the lineup for the Lions for the first time in 2004.
It's the perfect call against the defense. Watch Michael O'Shea and Kevin Iben. They're going forward. If you go forward, why not put a receiver right where the linebackers usually line up? And that's where Gerald Harris will end up. Right there where the linebackers left. I'll take it there. I got to beat one guy. Clifford Ivory, he was stumbling. And off goes Gerald Harris.
Harris with 2 catches on this drive. Antonio Warren, 4 yards there. Harris picked up 28 yards in the previous play. And Warren adds a few here. The Lions offense struggling a little bit in the early moments of the second half. 3 2-and-outs in a row, and then this drive.
Well, yeah, in fact, Rich Stuber's crew had basically shut the Lions offense down in this third quarter until this drive.
And Antonio Warren is out dueling John Avery by a bunch.
But it's hard to keep a good man down, isn't it?
Certainly is. Gets his chance. He's back in the lineup after missing 3 games. Antonio Warren. Printers look to be sacked. Find a way to escape and saves it down.
Yeah, and I mentioned it just before he did it because I knew he was going to do it. This is the evolution of a young quarterback in a learning curve that's been so steep, and he's handled so well.
So we got.
I knew he was going to throw that into row 4.
Well, exactly what he did. That's the final play of the third quarter, and the Lions will try a field goal when we return. Stadium at BC Place, brimming with enthusiasm tonight. The Lions are on a nice roll as Duncan O'Mahony lines up for his first field goal of the evening, and he's got it. That's 14 straight for O'Mahony, who had such a tough start to this season. And O'Mahony is counting by tens now. He's not counting that as his 13th coming into this game, 13th in a row. He's got 10, and now he's got 4 in a row. So it's just to psych himself up.
It has been quite a roll.
But the Argonauts are not finished yet. They're down by 2 touchdowns.
No, it's not over by a long shot. There's tons of time, and this Argo defense is making Casey Printers work for everything in this third quarter especially.
Absolutely, and the Argo defense hasn't chipped in with that critical turnover as yet that we have come to expect from this group of all-stars. So the fourth quarter just nicely underway after the Omani field goal. And here's John Avery on kick return duty. Across the 40, he stopped at the 45 by Jason Crum, playing against his brother Mike Crum of the Argonauts on special teams on occasion tonight.
Well, this is where, as a quarterback, especially a young quarterback in his second start in 2004, and Michael Bishop gets a chance to make a name for himself as he can find a way to get his Argonauts back in this football game. The numbers aren't real impressive tonight, but there's lots of football to be played.
Michael Bishop and the Argos just shy of the 45. Good call here, and Baker will turn it into a first down. Robert Baker forced out by Barron Simpson.
One of the things they've done in this third quarter is gone to Baker and have Robert Baker set up a couple things. They throw a few hitches early in a series, then they'll fake a hitch and go deep, and now they have to go to Baker because Tony Miles has not returned.
Argos without Tony Miles for the rest of the game, and that's why we saw Avery on kick return duty there.
Well, it was going to be a workout process, and we're going to keep that crutch away from Tony Miles. That's a bad sign, but got the leg up, and doesn't look good for his return, at least tonight.
No, he's done for the evening. Second and 10. Argonauts. BC Place is alive. Nice catch. Hanging on somehow, Mark Lester. He'll be short of the first down, however.
Yeah, he will, and this is a long field goal attempt. Noel Prefontaine's longest 47. This would be 52 with the dead air here in the dome.
And last week he missed a couple against the Blue Bombers.
And Mike Clemens is leaving the offense on the field.
Third down and 3 to go. And the Argos tried to get out of the ball quickly for a little bit of a surprise element on the Lions.
It was going to be some kind of surprise. R.J. Soward came running over to the sideline, all upset, like this grand scheme all of a sudden wasn't going to work because the personnel wasn't right. And
well, the field goal may be a long shot, but I'm not so sure this gamble is much more than that.
Well, it's still early, and that's
third down, and
there's still 13 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, they're looking for 3 yards to get the first down conversion here. Bishop stands in and fired high. Rushed it a little bit. Andre Talbot couldn't get high enough. So the Lions take over on downs with 13:05 to go in the fourth. Critics will question the gamble by the Argonauts on 3rd and 3 that turns it over to the BC Lions at the 45. Argonauts down by a couple of touchdowns at 24-10. 13 minutes on the clock. Antonio Warren over 100 yards after missing the last 3 games.
2002, remember, Antonio Warren was an all-star on special teams.
Great kick returner.
Yeah, another one of those guys that, you know, and it happens to so many players that they break into a league or a level, whether it be college football or the pros, and you earn your keep on special teams and then get your chance to start.
3 yards for Warren. 2nd and 7 for the Lions. Printers chased down and fired that one into the turf, looking for G. Roy Simon. There was no chance to make the connection, but he got rid of it.
Eric England, Jonathan Brown, and Noah Cantor showed some frustration against KC Printers, but they're keeping at it, and they're continue to battle in that front five with the BC Lions. And Printers, who has time initially, it doesn't last long. Now he's forced to try and complete a real tough throw over his shoulder. It's been like that in this second half for him.
Fourth 2 and out in the second half for the Lions.
Hands in, boys.
But hasn't turned it over.
That's true. O'Mahony's punt down at the 25. It's Chris Cunningham, and he steps out around the 36. Jason Claremont covering on the play. Argonauts in a deeper hole all of a sudden. Let's go down to the sidelines. Perry?
John, this is a good sign when Damon Allen has traveled cross country with his team. First of all, how was the rehab? How was the leg?
Rehab, everything's right on schedule and a little bit ahead of schedule. So, I'm excited about that. And, the main thing is just continue with my workouts and just look forward to getting myself ready to go.
Damon, what advice can you give Michael Bishop as he got ready for this game?
Well, one of the things, I just wanted to be patient, settle down a little bit. He got off on a little rough start because he's quite antsy. But, the main thing is the Lions always start off pretty early. They always start off pretty fast, and they got ahead of us early in the game. But we had a chance to get back into it, but we just haven't made enough plays offensively.
Hey, you spent 7 years in this town. This building is full tonight. What do you think of the guy who wears #1 in their QB position?
Well, obviously he's a surprise, and he's a special player, and everybody's starting to realize that. And so it's quite unique to see players, come through the CFL that are like that, because every 1 year or another, you always see somebody come out of woodwork that you've never seen before, but they show them that they can play.
Thanks, guys.
Jason Claremont sets the BC Lions up in great field position, and then it appears that the Argonauts have a turnover going the other way. Antonio Warren put it on the ground.
Wow, they dodge a big one there, John, because the Argos were on the ropes. This is when it's a heavyweight tilt, and one boxer has the other boxer with the Bambi on ice look, and he's looking wobbly going down. They have him right here, and Antonio Warren, that same play that he fumbled earlier on with that jab step goes in, the ball comes out, and the Argos dodge a bullet.
Well, it came loose, and the Argonaut offense is on the field. However, the discussion continues down inside the 5-yard line.
The ball carrier's knee touched the ground, and the ball came out. It's second down BC.
The Lions did not fumble. Antonio Warren was fighting it. Steinauer thought that he had the turnover.
Well, from our replay angles, it was hard to see when the ball came out and sort of trust the officials, who have done this a couple times in the last 2 games now, made a call and then overruled it because they clearly indicated Argonaut football.
So it's second and goal to go. The Lions are at the Argonaut 2 with a chance to add to this BC lead. And Antonio Warren's second effort. And they say not yet into the end zone with a penalty flag down.
Well, there's another flag on the field on this one.
And an Argonaut down as well. Injured Toronto Argonaut inside the 5. 7:56 to go. The Lions have a 24-10 advantage. And
Offside.
one more crack to get to the end zone.
Toronto 97.
Whoops.
First down.
3 more cracks to get to the end zone. The offside penalty against the Argonauts.
That's interesting. In Winnipeg last night, going through an experiment the officials were with instant replay. And that system, much like the NFL has, where you can review or challenge calls. And that's a good sign. And it may not be implemented this year, but it's a good sign because the officiating is one aspect of the game that has to continue to improve.
Well, unless they implemented it for the playoffs, there's no way they can implement it this year, I'm sure. And they're not certainly thinking about that.
Yeah, and if it goes to next year, that's fine. But the fact that they're experimenting with it, exploring the possibility, then
yeah, well, I think that's great.
It's a good sign, because it's the league being proactive about improving that part of this game.
Injury timeout at the stadium at BC Place. The Lions lead it by 2 touchdowns, and we'll be right back.
Good news is, looks like the Argos, Eric England, will be okay. He was down on the play but walked off on his own.
Bad news for the Argonauts. Offside called in the previous play, so the Lions get 3 more cracks at it from right here. And it's Printers himself, and he'll get the touchdown. Casey Printers. 1 more touchdown. That's his 7th of the season. And he's tossed for 2 more. 3 more tonight. So it's 23 touchdowns tossed. And add 7 to that, 30 touchdowns he's been directly responsible for the BC Lions.
Just threw an extra touchdown to a fan in the stands that gets a souvenir after that one. But this game for Casey Printers has not been an easy one. And teams are starting to put a little hit on Casey Printers, but he continues to battle through it. And that's what I think has been most impressive about this performance tonight.
BC number 7, down the field.
And why this great story continues to build is because, in his first 5 starts, no one really knew a whole lot about Casey Printers, and he was kind of running around having a good time, not being hit a whole bunch. And then Calgary and tonight, boy, he's taken a bunch, and he's battled through and has his football team up in a big way once more.
Jacques Chapdelaine talks it over with his star quarterback. The offensive coordinator, Steve Barato, is actually upstairs, but a little communication going on with Jacques down there. And Casey Printers has engineered 30 touchdowns in what is his rookie season in so many ways. I mean, the opportunity to be a quarterback for the first time. He was on the list as number 3 for part of last season, behind Dickinson and Spurgeon Wynn.
Remember, the BC Lions looking for win number 6 in a row, which would tie a club record. Vic Rapp's 77 BC Lions 6 in a row with Jerry Taggy. They call them the Cardiac Kids back there, and Dirty 30 Jim Young was Jerry Taggy's go-to guy.
That's when you were in the Knothole gang over at Empire Stadium?
That's when I had just brought my bag of chips and got in the end zone seats, and away I went. Yeah. In fact, I still have the Jim Young chin strap for running on the field as a kid, and picking up a nice souvenir there. Old Empire Stadium in the pouring rain, I'm sure it was. But that was the Cardiac Kids, and the Lions have a chance to tie that record here tonight.
And then there's a chance to break the record. And when you look back through this BC Lion franchise in the years beginning 50 years ago, 1954, hard to believe they haven't won more than 6 in a row. But they'll have the chance to do that against the Renegades in a couple of weeks if they hang on here tonight to a 31-10 lead. And here's John Avery on returns, lost the ball, but he had made contact with the ground.
Yeah, he was down, no question. Well, Michael Bishop was down by 14, has been for most of the game, but was down by 14 with 13 minutes to go. And a couple of plays have been the difference, because he still had a chance to bring this team back. Mike Clements decided to go on 3rd and 3. And we're going to see another quarterback.
Scott Krause throws into double coverage, looking for Cunningham. Krause has seen very little duty, 7 of 8 and 82 yards with a couple of touchdowns in the preseason.
Well, he gets a chance to sort of do the old reverse mop-up. And it's kind of like a mop-up situation. If you're the winning quarterback, you come in as a backup. But obviously, they just feel to get Scott Krause a little a few reps out there may help him down the road.
2nd and 10. Argonauts. Krause almost has it stripped. And he's tossed to the turf at the 40-yard line. There were Lions all around. And Dante Booker was the lineman who got him there.
Yeah, the Lions just, you know, they get Scott Krause in the game, and it's like Krause season, because they're going to send everybody. There's Otis Floyd. There's Derek Lewis. Look at Barron Simpson's over here. Now let's see what those 3 guys do. Yeah, they blitz. Carl Kidd comes from the left. He goes. Look at the jailbreak that was. You get fresh meat in there behind the center, and you go ahead and try and chow down.
On 3rd down, Prefontaine. Aaron Lockett for the Lions. Retreating to the 15, turns the corner. Prefontaine over to force him out. Krause at the controls for the Argonauts. He has Chris Cunningham, and Cunningham should have a 1st down, forced out by Brent Johnson.
Michael Bishop will continue to have to answer to the skeptics who, you know, coming into that game against Winnipeg, were wondering if Bishop could lead the troops, and he showed it in that one with 300 yards and almost 100 along the ground, but faced a pretty good BC line defense here tonight.
Krause, sideline pattern, and he'll get another 1st down to Robert Baker this time. Bishop, with that performance against the Blue Bombers, is named the Offensive Player of the Week.
But it's what have you done for me lately? And
in the last 6 days, he hasn't been able to answer as well as he did against the Blue Bombers.
But you know, John, he did some things in this game tonight that you can understand why Mike Clements is so high on him. Why Adam Rita? You know, Adam Rita brought him into BC, you mentioned earlier. Put him on the neg list when Adam Rita was with the BC Lions.
He was going to be the heir apparent to Damon Allen.
That's right.
At that point in time.
That's right. And then,
out here, though.
Yeah, and then he lost him to the National Football League when he went to the Patriots, and he backed up Drew Bledsoe in training camp, and he also played behind Brett Favre. Learned a lot from Favre.
Krause looks to run.
Apparently, and I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to sit here and judge, but in a conversation with him, didn't learn a whole bunch from Drew Bledsoe. And you know, kind of when you look from the outside looking in, for some reason that's not surprising. I don't know why, but Brett Favre, he said, was a huge help to him. Similar styles, both running strong arm quarterbacks. Brett Favre, of course, I'm certainly not comparing Michael Bishop in his pro career to Brett Favre. But the bottom line is he learned a ton from Brett Favre and has from Damon Allen. And you can understand when you see him athletically why the coaches love him and why Ken Austin thinks he can be the guy. But it's still going to take some time.
Well, he's got a howitzer for an arm, as he showed on the touchdown that he threw to R.J. Soward to get the Argonauts one and only major so far tonight. 3 minutes to go at the stadium at BC Place, and the Lions feeling rather comfortable. Spurgeon win. Mopping up for the BC Lions now, and the Argonauts get to him and mop the turf here with him just a little bit. O'Shea and Fletcher combining on the tackle there.
And the Argonauts were 4-0 coming into this one against the West, and just hit a roadblock.
Argonauts will move to 6 wins and 4 losses. Still a comfortable position on second spot in the East, with the Tiger Cats closing, however, on that victory over the Calgary Stampeders this evening. So the Tiger Cats are 1 win behind.
And Ottawa still to play in Edmonton on Sunday.
And they could move into that 1 win behind spot, with Montreal well out in front at 9-1. In the West, we're looking at the Lions hitting the break with a record of 7-3. So that'll make for a nice little celebration over the Labor Day holiday for Wally Buono's team.
Well, that's the thing. You know, good feelings and positive thoughts, they can grow and turn into more positive thoughts, and so can the opposite. So that's why when you have that longer break and longer time to think about something, you want them to be positive thoughts, and the Lions have that as they go into their break.
You know, I'm not so sure that the Lions were all that positive about the way they played last week against Calgary. The Stampeders had an opportunity to win a game from the front-running team in the West, and both the offensive coordinator and the head coach suggested that the Lions on offense last week were a little spotty at best, but managed to get the job done and win over Calgary.
Wally Buono said that good teams find sometimes ways to win that sometimes you can classify as ugly, or ways to win with different adversity facing them, and the Lions are doing that.
And the Lions, as you say, will feel a lot better going to the break after a game like they have played here tonight. Cunningham stopped at about the 50-yard line, and leading the way, Mark Pilon. Krause at the controls for the Argonauts, running for a first down, and meet Baron Simpson. Scott Krause, Casey Printers, the Gladiator, with 3 touchdown tosses, and one himself, as we showed you just a second ago. On the season, 7 rushing touchdowns for Casey Printers, 23 passing touchdowns, adding in the 3 from tonight. That's a total of 30 touchdowns engineered by Casey Printers.
Yeah, but those numbers, when it comes to Gladiator, don't mean anything to me. What I thought was impressive with Printers was how he fought through the physical aspect and the violence of the game of football, something he hasn't faced other than the last 2 weeks a whole bunch. He took a pounding tonight, and he didn't get rattled. He stood in the arena. He took on the Lions, and he took on whatever came through those doors. And it happened to be the Toronto Argonauts defense, the most stingy defense in the league coming in, and he put 31 on them.
Chris Cunningham taking a pass and losing a couple of yards.
Baron Simpson limped off after that long Scott Krause run. And Baron Simpson made that tackle, and this is tough on coaches. You hope that Baron Simpson is not hurt. That's another former Gladiator, by the way. And based on that alone, I'm sure he'll be back. But
okay. Scott Krause runs again.
But as a coach, you just hate to lose a guy with the game well in hand. And it's been a long night. Played very well in the middle of that defense, Baron Simpson, as he does every single night. And kind of limped off there, so hopefully he'll be okay.
Time to ask a question or two about John Avery. The big offseason signing for the Argonauts. Still not 100%, obviously. 5 rushing yards. 5 rushes for 7 yards on the evening. So the average isn't very good at all for John Avery. And they weren't able to count on him to get the running game going again tonight. So I don't know when he will be a big part of this Argonaut offense.
Well, when Avery has been hurt, because he's been hurt, I'm sure that Ken Austin, who is dying to work more plays into the game plan with Avery involved, has just got to get the green light from both Avery, the medical staff, and Mike Clements. And then Avery becomes the feature guy. He was the feature guy in 2002 in Edmonton, and that's why he had all those yards, and he's a guy you can feature when he's healthy. So if he is healthy now it allows Ken Austin to finally say, okay, look, is the injury gone or not? And if it is, now you're part of the game plan, because he just didn't get enough touches tonight. And again, it just looks like John Avery's not a big part of the game plan yet because of that injury.
Well, they say he's 90%. Austin himself said that Avery should not have been performing in at least the first 3 games of the season. That Avery, because of the publicity and the contract and the deal that he did sign, rushed himself into the lineup for the Argonauts. But he wasn't available for Austin tonight. And again, the Argonauts fell behind by a couple of touchdowns, and they had to throw the ball a little more.
Which is courageous for John Avery.
No question.
But it's similar to what Dave Dickinson did with the Lions. And if you rush back when you're not ready, as courageous as it may be, sometimes it can set you back a little bit.
Into the final 9 seconds as the BC Lions tie a franchise record with 6 consecutive wins. There have been other Lion teams that have won 6 in a row, but not all that many looking back through history. So this is quite an accomplishment, Glenn, for the Lions to win 6 straight games after what we saw in the early going this season, a bit of a shaky start.
And they do it in front of a basically a sellout crowd at BC Place Stadium, and this Lions story in this city continues to build.